This is Dott TV News at 4, and I am Priscilla Ifani, and here are the stories we have for you. The traditional leadership of the Ole Kingdom in Isoko South local government area of Delta State has expressed concern over what it describes as the absence of meaningful government presence in the community, despite its contribution to the state's development. The chiefs made their position known in an exclusive interview with Dot Television, highlighting the challenges facing the kingdom, including poor infrastructure, neglected public facilities, and the urgent need for government intervention to improve the living conditions of residents.
We are not satisfied considering what we give to the national economy. As you see here, we have no electricity. Even the roads that we have, they are feeder roads. They are seasonal roads. So I can rate the government 10% of development in Ole, if not below. We are the goose that produce the golden egg, but nothing to show at the end of the day. Nothing to show. I walk through the streets of Ole Kingdom, we show you that the government is oppressing us because we do not have long legs. If you go to places that do not produce oil, they are in heaven. So we have paradise, we have strangers, slaves in our paradise. They don't give us anything. Rather, they exploit from us.
The chiefs also appealed to the Delta State government and relevant authorities to restore electricity to the kingdom, lamenting that the community has remained in darkness for several years.
The government should give us electricity, gas turbine, not just the solar, the planks that we are putting on our roofs. They do not solve our needs.
Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has signed the Federal Medical Center Ole Establishment Bill into law, paving the way for the establishment of the first federal tertiary healthcare institution in Delta South Senatorial District of Delta State. The legislation, sponsored by the senator representing Delta South, Joel Onowakpo Thomas, is expected to improve access to specialized healthcare services in the oil-producing region, which has long lacked a federal medical center. Reacting to the presidential assent, Joel Onowakpo described the development as a landmark achievement for the people of Delta South and a significant step towards addressing what he called a long-standing imbalance to access the quality health care. According to the lawmaker, the establishment of the medical center will bring specialized healthcare services closer to millions of residents, reduce the burden of traveling long distances for advanced medical treatment, and improved health outcomes across the districts. In the meantime, the Delta State government has reiterated its unwavering commitment to ensuring the equitable distribution of energy infrastructure across communities in the state. The Commissioner for Energy, Michael Anoka, gave the assurance while receiving a high-level delegation of chiefs and community leaders from the Emuno Kingdom during a courtesy visit to his office. Anoka commended the leadership of the Emuno Kingdom for its proactive, peaceful, and constructive engagement with the government. He assured the delegation that the ministry remains fully committed to expanding access to reliable electricity across all parts of Delta State. Speaking on behalf of the delegation, the group spokesman Godde Ngbabego said the visit was to advocate the upgrade and rehabilitation of power infrastructure in Emuno Kingdom. Staying in Delta State, the chairman of Ughelli North Local Government Council, Jaro Egbo, has intervened in the internal crisis involving two opposing groups in the Romukaren community, warning that his administration will not tolerate any act capable of threatening peace and security in the area. Igbo gave the warning during a peace meeting at the council secretariat where he received a delegation from the community led by its president Godwin Anigboro, following a dispute that reportedly escalated into violence and the destruction of private properties. Condemning the incident, the chairman reaffirmed his administration's zero-tolerance stance on crime and criminality, urging all aggrieved parties to embrace dialogue and lawful means of resolving their differences. To security now, the Delta State Police Command has arrested a motorcycle rider for allegedly kidnapping a 3-year-old child he was employed to convey to and from school. The spokesperson for the command, Bright Edafe, who disclosed this in a video shared with our newsroom, said the suspect collected a ransom of 500,000 naira from the victim's family.
The suspect was contracted to convey the child to and from school for a monthly payment of 10,000 naira. Edafe said the suspect carried out the assignment for about 3 weeks before allegedly abducting the child instead of taking her to school.
We have a case of a 3-year-old child who an Okada rider was contracted to be picking the child from home to school and from school back to the home. He did this job for about 3 weeks before the devil came into him, according to him. On that fateful day, he took this child. Instead of taking the child to school, he took the child to wherever he took the child to, and started calling the parents with another line that the child has been kidnapped and they should bring the ransom of 2 million naira. His own line was switched off. They couldn't reach him. So they never thought he was even the one who masterminded the kidnap. They reported while they were at the police station, he also called, threatening them that if they go to the police, they will kill the child. Eventually, a ransom of 500,000 was paid. That was when he allowed the child to go.
In another development, the Delta State Police Command has arraigned 30 suspects arrested during an intelligence-led enforcement operation carried out across identified criminal hotspots in Asaba. The operation, led by the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, targeted black spots, brothels, and suspected drug dens within the metropolis and surrounding communities. According to the police, a total of 202 persons were arrested during the raid based on intelligence gathered by the State Intelligence Department. A police statement said after preliminary investigations, 172 suspects were screened and released unconditionally. Among those arraigned in the Asaba Magisterial District is a 63-year-old proprietor of Prince Tavern 50 brothel, Chizoba Ojoku, who is facing charges of allegedly permitting his premises to be used as a brothel and procuring women and girls for prostitution. The remaining 29 suspects were charged with conduct likely to cause a breach of the peace and possession of illicit drugs. Meanwhile, the Delta State Commissioner of Police, Yemi Oyeniyi, has continued his familiarization tour of the state with a visit to the Ughelli Area Command, where he met with the Ovie of Ughelli Kingdom, His Royal Majesty Wilson Ojakovo Oharisi III, as well as key stakeholders and police personnel. During the visit, the commissioner commended the traditional ruler and the people of Ughelli for their support to the police, stressing the need for stronger collaboration between security agencies and traditional institutions. He said intelligence sharing remains vital in tackling cultism, illicit drug trafficking, kidnapping, and other criminal activities, while assuring the monarch of the command's commitment to professionalism and respect for human rights. Responding, the Ovie of Ughelli Kingdom pledged the palace's continued support for the police, stating that no criminal would be protected because of community ties. From Ughelli to the Ogwashiuku Area Command, where CP Oyeniyi met with officers, men of the command, and key stakeholders to strengthen community policing across the state. Addressing police personnel, the commissioner charged them to uphold discipline, professionalism, integrity, and respect for human rights in the discharge of their duties. He also warned against unauthorized use of social media, stressing the Inspector General of Police's zero-tolerance policy on extortion, corruption, and other forms of unprofessional conduct. The visit also featured an interactive session with community stakeholders, including representatives of the Obi of Ogwashiuku Kingdom, the Obi of Nsukwa, leaders of the Arewa, Yoruba, and Igbo communities, the Police Community Relations Committee, vigilante groups, youth leaders, and other community representatives. I am Ifi Arono, Dott TV News.
Elsewhere, the Jigawa State Police Command has impounded 24 vehicles and arraigned their owners in court for allegedly violating vehicle registration and traffic laws as part of a statewide enforcement drive aimed at boosting security and public safety. This was contained in a statement made available to journalists in Dose, the state capital, by the police public relations officer Shisu Adam. He said the exercise is part of the police commitment to enhancing public safety, strengthening security, and ensuring strict compliance with laws regulating the use of motor vehicles on public roads. The PPRA explained that the operation targeted offenses commonly used to conceal vehicles from the security checks. He added that vehicles displaying manufacturer's logo or decorative emblems in place of approved registration plates were also impounded. To Katsina, where security forces have successfully repelled a suspected bandit attack on Gangaran Makode village in Bakori local government area of the state. The development was contained in a post shared on X by security analyst Bakenstan on Friday. According to the post, the suspected bandits entered the village on Thursday night, prompting residents to make a distress call to security authorities. Troops of the 17th Brigade, working together with members of the vigilante group and the Civilian Joint Task Force, responded quickly to the emergency. The swift deployment of the Joint Security Team reportedly forced the attackers to flee before they could carry out any attack on the community. Away from security matters, Rivers State Governor Similaye Fubara has presented a proposed 1.854 trillion naira budget for the 2026 fiscal year to the Rivers State House of Assembly, describing the spending as a budget of resilience for growth and development. Presenting the 2026 appropriation bill before lawmakers, Fubara said the budget was designed to consolidate his administration's achievements in infrastructure, development, human capital advancement, security, and economic growth, while ensuring fiscal discipline and accountability in the management of public resources. The governor said that despite the challenges confronting his administration, governance has remained effective, with significant progress recorded across critical sectors. He attributed the state's fiscal stability to prudent financial management, transparency, and responsible governance. Coming up shortly on the news at 4, sources say Israel shared intelligence with US of Iranian plot to assassinate Trump, and that's on Foreign News Plus Sports after the break. Please stay with us. In the heart of Asaba, where the street tells the stories every single day.
From the corridors of powers to the decisions shaping governance and politics in Delta and Nigeria.
From traders counting every naira to families battling rising costs and uncertain times.
From football pitches to sporting successes to the major developments making the headlines all over the world.
And from the untold human stories, the struggles, victories, resilience, and hope of the everyday Nigerians.
This is the news beyond the headlines. Dott TV News are your trusted window to stories that truly matter to the people. Here, we don't just report events, we tell the human stories behind them.
Thanks for still being there. Now to the rest of our stories. The federal government has evacuated another 282 Nigerians from South Africa as part of its ongoing repatriation exercise following the wave of xenophobic attack targeting foreign nationals in the country. The latest batch arrived at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, aboard an Air Peace flight on Thursday night, bringing the total number of Nigerians repatriated since the evacuation began on June 11 to 1,141. The evacuation follows growing concern over the safety of Nigerians in South Africa after anti-immigrant protests intensified in several communities. More than 1,000 Nigerians had earlier indicated their willingness to return home through the federal government's evacuations program. Ahead of the latest flight, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, urged Nigerians still stranded in South Africa to take advantage of the government's evacuation initiative. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Police Force Airport Police Command says it will arraign 2 passengers for unruly conduct after they allegedly smoked cigarettes aboard an Air Peace flight from South Africa to Lagos. The suspects were identified as 51-year-old Aruna Prince Agama and 43-year-old Tony Ajayi. They were handed over to the International Airport Police Division by aviation security personnel on their arrival at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, for further investigation. According to a statement by the Police Public Relations Officer, Airport Command, Mohammed Adeola, preliminary investigation revealed that at about 7:44 p.m. on July 9th, the suspects lit and smoked cigarettes inside the aircraft. The act activated the aircraft smoke detection and emergency alarm system, causing panic and anxiety among passengers and cabin crew. In the meantime, the United States has announced an updated deportation list featuring 124 Nigerians. This was disclosed in a statement on the website of the Department of Homeland Security on Wednesday. The DHS claims that these individuals have been placed on what is described as its worst of the worst criminal register. While the names and photos have been made public, the timeline for the deportation remains undisclosed. And now to the foreign scene. Sources are saying Israel shared intelligence with the United States that Iran had recently devised a new plan to assassinate President Donald Trump, adding another layer of tension as ceasefire deal between the countries comes under strain. One of the sources said the warning came this week. Another source said the US has picked up a steady drumbeat of intelligence in recent weeks about possible plans to assassinate Trump, but the warning from the Israel was new and concerned a specific plot. Other American officials suggested the Israeli report could be an effort to sway Trump's decision-making as he weighs whether to intensify American military action against Iran. For more stories on the foreign scene, let's now join Zino Iruru.
Andy Burnham has taken another step towards becoming the next Labour leader and UK Prime Minister, after the vast majority of Labour MPs nominated him to replace Sir Keir Starmer. His leadership bid has been backed by 322 out of 403 Labour MPs, as he remains the only declared candidate. That leaves him just one short of the 323 needed to make it mathematically impossible for a rival to run against him. Some MPs say they weren't able to vote on Thursday, but will back Burnham once they're back in Parliament. If no one else enters the contest, as expected, Burnham will be declared Labour leader next week before taking office as Prime Minister on the 12th of July. It would mark an extraordinary rise to power, just weeks after the former Greater Manchester mayor won a by-election in Makerfield.
So that we can build a party and a country that is for us too.
Meanwhile, the UK is set to bake in another day of 35-degree highs, with temperatures expected to stay at heatwave level until the end of next week. On Thursday, temperatures topped 34 degrees for the 8th day this year, breaking the previous record of 7 days, set in 1976 and in 2020. Overnight, 5 sites in England saw a tropical night where temperatures stayed above 20 degrees. This is the third heat wave of the year, which began earlier this week, has been striking and could stretch into the next week before cooler, more unsettled weather arrives. But parts of the UK could get some respite over the weekend, when a northeasterly breeze on Saturday is expected to pull in cooler air from the North Sea. Elsewhere, landslides triggered by one of the strongest storms in decades have killed at least 15 people in the southern Philippines, as parts of Asia brace for the looming storm. Typhoon Bavi, which spans 1,000 kilometers at its widest point, roughly the width of France, is sweeping across the Pacific towards Taiwan. It's expected to dump rain on Taiwan's north and eastern regions and on a chain of remote Japanese islands before making landfall in southeastern China on Saturday. Dozens of flights have been cancelled and schools have been suspended across the region. Supermarket shelves have been stripped bare as residents stock up ahead of the typhoon. On the Philippine island of Mindanao, families have been buried overnight by landslide, and rescuers are still searching for those missing. And finally, the Duke of Sussex has been welcomed by enthusiastic supporters of his Invictus Games, arriving at the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham. But he wasn't joined by his wife Meghan, who had been expected here, but now won't attend any public events in the UK this week. It's been a bumpy return for Prince Harry. In a week meant to promote the Invictus Games for injured servicemen and women, instead, it's been overshadowed by his court defeat against Associated Newspapers and confusion over whether Meghan and their children will travel to the UK. His appearance at the NEC marked the countdown to next year's Invictus Games, which Birmingham will host. I'm Zino Eroro, reporting for Dott TV.
Thank you very much, Zino. Up next is Sports News with Anthony Uche.
We begin the sports news with the ongoing FIFA World Cup, where England defender Gerald Kwanzaa has been handed an extra match ban on top of the automatic one-game suspension by FIFA's disciplinary committee following his red card against Mexico. Kwanzaa was sent off in the 54th minute of the 3-2 win following a high-footed challenge on Jesus Gallardo. It was classed as serious foul play, meaning the Bayer Leverkusen Players World Cup could be over unless England make it to the final on the 19th of July. Now on to the latest news. France missed a first-half penalty, but we are still too good for Morocco as they knocked the last African team out of the tournament with a comfortable 2-0 victory. Kylian Mbappe saw his penalty saved by Yassine Bounou, but recovered to score the opening goal on the hour mark with a superb calling effort from just inside the 18-yard box. The French captain then set up his teammate Ousmane Dembele for a similar finish 6 minutes later as France eased their way into a potential semi-final clash with Spain or Belgium next Tuesday in Dallas. Spain head into the quarter-final match today as heavy favourites and are yet to concede a goal in the tournament. In tennis, the final of the ladies' draw at Wimbledon will be an all-check affair with Karolina Muchova and Linda Noskova qualifying for the showpiece on Saturday. Muchova saved a match point before coming through an epic deciding sets tiebreaker to beat Coco Gauff and secure a first Wimbledon final 6-2, 1-6, 7-6 win in sweltering conditions on centre court. Saturday's event will be her second ever Grand Slam final after reaching her first in 2023 at Roland Garros, where she lost in 3 sets to Iga Swiatek. In the second match of yesterday, 21-year-old Linda Noskova reached her first major final, withstanding Ukraine's Marta Kostyuk's second set fight back, prevail 6-4, 6-4. It is the first time 2 women representing the same nation have contested a Grand Slam final since 2017 US Open between Americans Sloane Stephens and Madison Keys. Local favourite Otto Ferry and French Open champion Alexander Zverev face each other in the first of the men's semi-finals on centre court on Friday, and Novak Djokovic takes on Jannik Sinner in the second match on centre court. From the sports desk, Anthony Uche for Dott TV News.
That's all we have for you on Dott TV News at 4. Thank you for your time. I am Priscilla Ifani, and remember to follow Dott Television on all our social media handles at official.tv. Thank you for joining us.